Hello, and welcome back to the Book Marketing Tips and Author Success Podcast. This is our, I think, third show of the new year of season 4. Amy, so good to be back in the studio and recording again.
I know, season 4. That sounds wild to me.
I know it sounds really wild. Some of my favorite shows never made it to season 4, which doesn't necessarily bode well for my taste in shows, but. So today we are talking about something that this was actually Amy's idea, which was a very good idea. There's a lot of confusion around publicity, marketing, advertising, and branding. I almost said brandy.
It's too early in the day, Penny.
Too early in the, no, it's not even noon here yet. It's too early in the day. But Amy, do you want to talk to me a little bit about where the genesis of this idea came from?
Sure. Yeah. As we've mentioned before on the podcast, but for anybody new, a lot of times when authors reach out to us, I will be one of the first people that they actually communicate with. And based on what they send me, I go through their info, their goals, if their book is already out. If not, I ask questions about the book, the timeline, all these things. But we get a lot of people that come to us. And this is the one that stands out most, is that we will get authors that come to us and say, I need somebody to do my publicity. I need publicity. This is what I need. And a lot of times it ends up working out that that's not actually the case. Yes, they need marketing and promotional help, and they have a book coming out, and there's a lot of wonderful things we can help them with and that they can do on their own, of course, as well. But the term publicity is misused a lot. Yeah. And we wanted to talk about it, not just to say like, no, you're wrong, and this is what it is. It's actually a lot deeper than that, because when you're going and potentially investing in the support of a team, really understanding what you need versus what you don't need, what is appropriate for where you're at in your author journey, all those kind of things factor in, and it can really help you make smarter decisions about how you're spending your money and who you're hiring.
Exactly. And I think that understanding or having a distinct understanding of the terminology is important. Obviously, as Amy said, when you're hiring somebody, when you're interviewing somebody, but firsthand, I can tell you there is so much confusion between marketing and publicity. Marketing, just give you some example. Marketing is typically something that you pay for. So marketing might be Amazon doing Amazon ads, doing a Goodreads campaign. And we'll talk about advertising separately, even though I know I mentioned Amazon ads, but marketing is typically something that you pay for, whereas publicity is something that you hope for, right? So publicity is always media, but it could also be online media. And then to sort of dovetail into that, it could also be influencers. So online influencers and things like that can also be, called publicity technically. But publicity, I mean, the real, the main way that authors use publicity is they're talking about, I want to be on the Today Show. I want to be on, NPR. I want to have, I want to be on Dateline. Hopefully you don't want to be on Dateline, because that's me. That's something that really nefarious is going on. I want to be on 60 Minutes or something like that. That is kind of where the origin of publicity, right? But it is something that publicity is earned media, which means that you're not paying for it, you're earning it. And you're earning it because you have a good story, you have a good pitch, and you are a media-friendly person, meaning that you've had some media exposure, et cetera. So those are the very distinct differences. And Amy, I know you wanted to talk a little bit more about marketing, but we have many authors who come to us who say, I'm looking for a publicist. And yes, we are a publicist, like Amy and I are publicists, but that doesn't necessarily always mean that we're doing publicity. Sometimes we're doing just marketing. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. And I think you made a good point, Penny, about you earn publicity. And one of the things that stands out for publicity specifically compared to marketing or advertising or branding is that it anchors more to being timely, to there being some sort of news value. Like it really needs to stand out.
Yeah.
And we say this before, and it's not to crush dreams, but in this day and age, publishing a book is not news anymore.
Yeah.
So just the fact that you produce something does not give it news value. And I think that's where a lot of authors get caught up in the fact that, like, so yes, publicity, you can pay somebody to try to help drum up publicity, but you really have to earn it. And that's why when Penny very accurately said something you hope for, you can pay a lot for publicity efforts and get nothing from it. And it didn't mean the people helping you didn't do everything they were supposed to do. It just means that those on the receiving end did not deem it newsworthy, your book, your business, your, insert. So that is something that so if you have a book on a really timely topic and you have a unique point of view and you can add something new and different to the conversation, then you might be somebody that could actually benefit from publicity efforts. We have a client right now that we got a response from CNN for, and we were like, banging pots and pans and stuff. That was very exciting. But this person wrote a very timely book.
Yeah.
This is a book that we would expect, bigger names to say, okay, I'm interested. Send me a copy, but that's few and far between these days to actually make news. It's very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very hard. And I think that part of and we should maybe do, or maybe we've already done a show on this, but it would behoove us to do a show just on publicity, because there are so many different layers to publicity that I talked to an author, I don't know, maybe we came off the break, so time is a little weird right now, but maybe this was in the beginning of
more conceptual.
I know, right? It's a little squirrely right now, but so I talked to an author, and this author said to me, well, we worked with the publicist previously and they did a ton of media for us, or they pitched to a ton of media, but we didn't get anything. And so we don't want to do publicity efforts anymore. And when I looked at the press kit that they did, first off, they did a press release, which if a PR company is saying that I'm pitching you to media with a press release, that is a little bit of a red flag, only because a press release is typically to announce something. It's not necessarily to pitch you as a guest or a contributor or something like that. But what's really interesting about this is that, and part of the reason why I bring it up is that you have to be really careful with publicity, because you cannot dip into the publicity well twice. So they said to me, well, we had a bunch of pitching done, which essentially I think was just mailing out a press release. I don't think it was actually pitching, but nobody came back to them, which was a little bit understandable, because even though the author had a significant platform, actually, none of that was elaborated on in the press release. So it was basically just, here's this groovy new book, here's the topic, consider being on the show, consider having this person on your show or whatever, in your magazine, whatever. Publicity takes a lot of work. And I think that is something that because I know you looked this up in Merriam-Webster in terms of the terminology, there should be like the woman with her sleeve rolled up, right? Like working, like it's a publicity.
Rosie the Riveter.
Rosie the Riveter. Sorry, I couldn't think of her name. Rosie the Riveter. Publicity is a lot of damn work. It's a lot of work. You got to make sure that the author, the author has to have a platform that they're going to be interested in, that they're saying something relevant. Your pitch has to be spot on good, and you have to pitch the right people. So everything kind of has to factor in.
It's very complex.
Which is part of the reason why publicity just doesn't matter if you're a mystery author. Or Amy mentioned we were in the green room prior, and she said, if the science fiction author tells me they want to get on, CBS This Morning or something, it's like, well, no. Like, why would You know what I mean? It's a complete waste of their money and their effort.
Exactly. And it's not a knock against fiction by any means. Like
Mm-mm.
you can be wildly successful as a fiction author by doing the right things with your genre fans versus spending your money and time trying to get on a TV show.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Not to say that you couldn't do, local media, right?
Hmm.
For a local author, but in terms of the big shows, I mean, it's really about, and what I hope transpires from this conversation is figuring out where your focus needs to be for the new year, right?
Yeah.
And maybe refocusing your efforts to go after something that is a little bit more productive. And Amy, do you want to talk about advertising and branding? Because I know those were two on the list as well.
Yes. And so, but one other thing on the marketing part, just
Yeah.
because I think we talked about publicity that stood out, and I liked this word, and a lot of people think of it as medical or medicine, but marketing is really kind of a holistic approach to all the things you need to do for your platform and for the progression of what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
And so I like that in marketing is in a wonderful way, kind of a catch all to make sure you're doing all the right things because nothing happens. You use this term a lot, Penny. Not one thing will ever move the needle, you know? So you can't just do one thing and that is not going to make you a successful author. So all the different marketing elements come together, and that's a lot of different channels, different platforms, different things that you're doing. And that all falls under the marketing efforts. So pretty much every author needs marketing, I think is a safe bet. Like that's something that I think applies to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think definitely marketing should be on every author's to-do list for sure. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then advertising, you and I did a show, I think it's actually one of our most popular shows, where we talked
It was. Isn't that wild?
I know
We replayed
it's
it over the holidays because it was one of our most, I think it was our absolute most downloaded show.
yeah, yeah. Um, and advertising, yes, as an author, you can do advertising. I'm a big fan of doing Amazon ads the right way, but advertising is not your marketing plan. So I talked to an author. Again, time is weird right now because we're coming out of the break. But I talked to an author, I don't know, maybe a month ago, and this author was like, "Yeah." I said, "What are you doing for your marketing?" Just running Facebook ads. Like, really? You know,
Mm,
um, advertising should be done strategically, not as a blanket. I'm just going to run ads in all the like I'm going to run ads in New York Times. I'm going to run ads in this so in all the places.
right.
We're a big fan of Amazon ads, obviously, BookBub ads. I know Amy works with our BookBub ads, and I'm not talking about the newsletter
The deals.
featured
Yeah.
deals. Yeah, I'm not talking about the featured deals. I'm talking about um, advertising at the bottom of their newsletter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like advertising is not your marketing plan. It's a great supporting actor. They're great, especially strategically. We like to use BookWeb ads strategically in terms of emphasizing anything that is different or noteworthy. So they're great if you ever run a limited time discount promotion. BookWeb ads are an amazing accompaniment to that
Yeah,
because it gets in front of, and especially BookBub ads because it goes to readers, but advertising is very, it's very static. Once you put it out there, it's just kind of there and you're done. Like you don't have any control over it after that. It
right.
is what it is. So it's great for staying in front of people. But again, you kind of have to think of it as like, these are little reminders that are placed here and there. These are not big enough efforts typically to be the only thing that you will have to do in order to continually build, your brand.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And talk about branding a little bit.
Hmm. So branding is, and I know Penny, you've written pieces on this. I think we've had to have done a show or two where we've touched on the complexities of branding and
Oh yeah,
understanding, what branding is. But like by definition, and most of you, you engage with brands all the time, but it is the public image, your reputation, your identity that that's how other people view you. So as an author, it's like, that's what you put out to the world. Penny, you say all the time, everything that you do that makes it out there is your resume, and people are judging you. Oh, okay.
What?
Sorry, we had a moment with our sound team.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you should have let him bark because I wanted to hear those sweet babies.
I know, I apologize. But yeah, so the branding part, I'll repeat it because I got distracted, but Penny, you say it all the time. Everything you put out there is your resume, and that's how potential buyers are viewing you. So like it or not, everything you do says something about who you are. And in theory, that is designed to ensure the right kind of people resonate with what you're doing, your persona, your work, the kind of books you write, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is absolutely true. So I think I don't really have anything else to add. I hope that this has been helpful because I think that it's important if you are exploring hiring a company, or even if you are trying to figure out what you're going to do on your own, understanding the difference between marketing, publicity, advertising, and branding is definitely crucial to your success. And I also want to remind everybody, since this is hitting before my new book is out, we are running lots and lots of promos for fun, cool swag to get for pre-ordering the book. So be on the lookout for those on our social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram. I'm going to start running them on my personal Facebook page as well. And I think also we also have them on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now. But we're running lots of promos to announce the new book, which I'm so excited about. And it's coming out on the 29th, and the paperback is coming out on the 14th of February. So it's coming out very soon. Thank you all so much for listening. This is the Book Marketing Tips and Author Success Podcast. Penny Sansevieri and Amy Cornell, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.